Hey guys, I'm going to try to keep this video a little bit shorter than my last one. I don't want to make it 15 minutes long again, so I guess I'm going to jump right into this thing. My middle school years. Let's see, I think we left off, I was still in Seaside, and it was that summer. So about near the end of the summer, I moved back here to Vancouver, where I live right now. But I didn't stay here for very long. In 6th grade, I went to McLaughlin Middle School in the beginning of 6th grade, but I have like no stories from that at all. It was really boring. It's nothing interesting at all. Yeah, I didn't really make any good, lasting friends. So, we were pretty much forced to move to Salem about halfway through my not even halfway through the year. It was probably just like 3 or 4 months into it. But anyway, I moved down to Salem because my mom's old boyfriend that we got away from, he found out where we had lived, where we moved to, and so we wanted to stay as far away from him as possible, so we moved down to Salem because Kurt, which is now he is my father-in-law, but he was just my mom's new boyfriend at the time. His mom owned a bunch of houses in Salem because she just bought a bunch of houses a very long time ago and rented them out, and they were all paid off, so we didn't have to pay rent. So we lived in a house that was by a creek, and that was a very fun house. It was right on the creek, and there was a bridge there, so we would always go to the bridge and jump off of it, and in the summertime it would be a blast, and we had a ton of friends around in the area, and it was just awesome. I went to a school called Leslie Middle School. It was kind of the snobby middle school in the area, and I have a history of going to the snobby schools, even though I am not like rich or anything like that. None of my family is, but I always went to them for some reason. We just lived in the area. Anyway, yeah, that house was awesome, and near our house, just a little bit down the creek, most people think of a creek like as a small little stream, but this was more of like a small river. So it was yeah, it was a small river basically, but there was a fish ladder and a little waterfall thing a little bit down the creek, and we would always go to that thing, and the water was really deep over the waterfall, and it was only like maybe a 6-foot waterfall, and it was man-made. It was a little dam thing, and we would always jump off of it, and then there was a higher point that you could get up to that was like maybe 12 feet off the water, and we would always like jump and dive on, do backflips and other things, just jump off that, and that happened all that summer long, and I think the next summer too, because we were there in that house for 2 summers, I think. Yeah. Anyway, during that first summer, though, there was these girls, and I refer them to them now as the Charlie's Angels, because one of them was blonde, one of them was redhead, and one of them was brown hair. And in that one summer, I ended up dating all 3 of them, and all 3 of them broke up with me. I don't know why. I was a really nice kid, but I guess I was taking things too slow or something. Yeah, all the middle schoolers, you know, middle school kissing, which is like, I'm not going to demonstrate it on video, but you know what I mean. You've been in middle school before. But yeah, I dated all 3 of them. I don't remember one of their names. One of them was Tara, and one of them was Jackie. That was the redhead, and Jackie is the redhead, and the blonde or brown hair was Tara. And the blonde one started with an A, and it was a weird name. I forget it though. Anyway, totally new topic. My 7th grade year, which was after that summer and after all that happened, all the fun part of my middle school career, that was definitely the best part. That summer, it was awesome. And anyway, the next year, I met this really cool guy named Steven in 7th grade, and we became like best friends, and he lived like 3 blocks away from me, and I would always be over at his house, and we would play Yu-Gi-Oh! Like all day, and I would sleep over, and stuff like that. He was an awesome guy. He was weird, and he was nerdy, and he always wore Hawaiian shirts, button-up Hawaiian short-sleeve shirts. That's all he would wear. But he was a cool guy. He was really cool, and we were best friends for a while. But okay, before I get into this next story, I was a middle schooler, and we were very ignorant, and if I could go back and tell myself not to do some of this stuff and say some of these things, then I would, and I would probably listen to myself if I was... Anyway, so yeah, this is not how I think at all now, but anyway, so about just a part of the way through the year when we had become best friends and we hung out together all day at school because we had a bunch of classes together, and then I would go over to his house and he would come over to my house and stuff after school. But during that time we I wouldn't say it really a phobia, but we made a game out of trying not to catch the gay disease, which is really dumb. But he always had like a tin of Altoids on him, and we would be like, take the antidote, and we would eat it, and it'd be anti-gay antidote, whatever, so we wouldn't turn gay. But yeah, I know, it was really stupid and really ignorant and just dumb of us to do, but in my defense, again, we were in middle school, so we were dumb middle schoolers. So anyway, eventually around, I think it was around either the end of 7th grade or going into the summer of after 7th grade, he came out and told me he was gay, which is kind of funny because of that whole thing that we did. And I would just being the stupid middle schooler that I was, I totally just, I'm like, I'm not gonna be your friend anymore. I thought we weren't gonna be gay. And so, I felt really bad about it. Now I do. But actually, a few months ago, I went on and I found him on Facebook, and I messaged him, and I apologized for the whole thing, and he was totally cool about it. He was like, yeah, you were a really cool guy, and obviously you still are. So, it's all done and into the past, and it's totally fine now. But yeah, I didn't talk to him after that. I didn't talk to him at all until I messaged him on Facebook, and I felt really bad about it for a long time. But yeah, that was Steven. He was a really cool guy. I think if I would have just not been a stupid middle schooler, I think he could have been a really good friend for the rest of my life even. So yeah, that's that. And then, so, next part of the story, 8th grade, we moved from the house on the creek, and we moved into a bigger house that my stepdad's mom still owned, so we didn't have to pay rent at all. We just lived there for free, as well as the previous house. And it was on Myrtle Street. Myrtle, you know, the tree, Myrtle tree. Moaning Myrtle, Harry Potter. Yeah, I lived on that street. And it was a big house. We all got our own rooms. Well, I started out in a smaller room on the top floor, but then I moved to the basement, and I held the whole basement to myself, which was like giant. It was like 2,000 square feet or something crazy like that. And so I had a giant basement, and I had 2 beds in there, so my friends could come and sleep over, and they could just have their own bed. And a few times, some of my friends would come over and stay for like a month or 2 on end, and it was just awesome. I had the whole basement, and I had my PlayStation 2 that I had, and I had a bunch of stuff, and that was an awesome basement. And then the school that I went to at the time was Parrish Middle School, and it was, I don't know, it was fine, I guess. I didn't really like it. I liked Leslie a lot more. But yeah. One thing that I started going to, though, as I was in middle school, it was in 8th grade that I started going, was this place called the Drop-In. It was like a youth center, and it was an awesome place to just go and hang out and meet some awesome people and play games and have free food, and it was like a shelter, kind of. Like, they didn't have beds or anything, you couldn't sleep there, but it was an awesome youth resource center place. and it was awesome. I still go back there whenever I'm down in Salem. I try to visit, and because I know all the people there still, except for the people that go there now, all the youth. I don't know any of them because that was way back when I was in middle school, and you're not allowed to go there after you graduate from high school. But I mean, I graduated 2 years ago when I still go and visit. But that's just visiting, you can't like hang out there. Anyway, that was my first job I got there. The first job that I got there was I was just the cleaning person. It was just an hour a day for 5 days a week. So it was just 5 hours a week. And I would just spend an hour I would sweep the floors and vacuum the floors and clean up the tables and wash things down and do all the cleaning stuff and take out the recycling and the garbage for just an hour a day, and it paid minimum wage, so I got like $60 every 2 weeks. And that lasted for like 2 months, and then the job ended and they gave the job to someone else because that's how the system worked. But then after that, they asked if I wanted to be the cook there, and so I'm like, heck yeah, I want to be a cook. Because I like cooking food, it's awesome. And yes, I was still in middle school when I had my first job as a cook. And that was a 3-month position, but I got it twice, so it was in 6 months, and that actually is kind of going into high school. That is going into high school, but it started in middle school. But yeah, I was a cook. It was just 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day, so 10 hours a week, and I would cook for 30 or so people a night. And that was just awesome, and it was just me. I was the only cook there and the only person that did it. So I just had a menu, and they told me what to make, and I'm like, sure. And so I did that, and it was awesome. That's how I bought my first PS2. That's my PlayStation 2, which is right there. I would show it here. I'll show you a memory card. There's a memory card. From the first thing I ever bought with my own money that I earned by myself, besides like just small tiny things. That's the first like expensive thing I've ever bought, and I still have it, so that's very nostalgic. And I bet this video is actually getting pretty long, and I told you it wouldn't, so I guess that's all I will talk about for today. I hope you liked my stories. Comment down below if you want to, or don't. And I guess I don't know, is there a challenge this week? Question? I have no idea. Victoria, I will see you tomorrow, probably. Hopefully. Yeah, probably. You've never missed a video. It's more like maybe once. I don't know. Bye.